So this is my SQUARE Dylusions Journal. I love it. It's a little panoramic when you lay it out, so it can be intimidating to work on, but trust me, you'll love it. So this is the first decorated page. There's a lot going on here. This is when I'm in a bit of a Dylusions kick at this point. This is a lot of doodling and a lot of stenciling and stamping and a lot of like homemade craft, like foam stamps. So yeah, this is basically, these are one of my grand's old drawings. Well, I drew them, she photocopied them a million times, and then she would color them in. So when she passed away, I had all of her stuff. I've mentioned this in another video, and I like to put them back into my journals just so that they're close by, and I feel like we worked on it together. So this is these are some fairies that she colored in. When I put them back in here, I went over the top of them. I gave them skin tones because, like I said before, my gran hated to color the skin and it would bug me. So yeah, I've gone over with the same colors that she used and then pulled out accents. So it's like we worked on it together. So what does this say? Don't eat the mushrooms unless you're ready for an adventure. And there's a unicorn in there that's kind of hidden. Some toadstools. So this is just a lot of doodling, and I think I just gotten these Posca paint pens and I was loving using them, so they're all over the page. But yeah, just a lot of bright colors and fun. There's so many fairies in these books, it's unbelievable. This is an unfinished Christmas spread. Trim up the tree with Christmas stuff like Bingle Balls and Who Flew Fluff. My favorite movie of all time, bar The Wizard of Oz, is The Grinch, the live action Jim Carrey, The Grinch. I know it's super weird, but I'll watch it any time of the year. So these were Who's that I drew a million years ago, and my mum actually colored these in. So I have a lot of my grand stuff in here. I have some of my mum's stuff in here. If my sister starts doodling and, you know, I find her stuff lying around, I'll literally snatch it and put it in my journal because they're great family memories to me. And, you know, everyone's presents are in these books. So that's just really fun for me to look at, and that's really fun for me to play with. But I never ended up finishing this one, and because Christmas was over and I have such a thing about celebrating Christmas after Christmas, that'll probably stay unfinished until this Christmas. Or maybe 12 Christmases from now. I don't know when I'll come back to this one. Here we've got, I went through a bit of a phase where I was drawing drag queens a lot. I just loved that their faces were their canvas and that I could translate that into my own drawings. So this was an Australian queen, and I was just captivated by how he painted his face. So he made it into my art journal, and just a fun spread. I think I was just practicing portraits and blending and using colors for shadows, because that was something that I learned from Jane that I'd never really experimented with before. I'd always go in with graphite and try and make all the shadows pop. So yeah, this has got a lot of greens in the shadows and purples and blues, and just some paint. This is quite a simple spread. There's actually really nothing going on in the background, but yeah. Here's one of my favorites, and that is because when it started, it was an absolute wreck. I had sketched out this idea for a digi-stamp that I thought was a good one for Halloween. It was just this big zipper, and I thought you could put it on a page and then essentially like zip open the page, because I saw people were doing that with makeup on their face, and I thought that'd be cute for my journal. And I had it in here, and then I had these magazine elements, and it was just not coming together. And then one day I sat down, I looked at it, and I thought, I know exactly what I'm gonna do. So it was kind of sad, because I mean, like, I'd finished these things over here underneath it, and then I thought, I'm gonna get rid of it, I'll paint over it. But the overall effect came out in the end, and I couldn't be happier. Bianca's represented in here, so that's always a good page when Bianca makes it on. Just an old digi stamp, and, you know, figured out that I should cut her hands open and put her in there. I love to try and take the flat elements of the page and give them some dimension, but keep them flat. I don't know if that makes sense. I guess try and rework the images that I have to make it look like that's the way they always were, even though, you know, this was a photocopy from a Vogue magazine from like 2008, and this was from a coloring book. You know, this was just one of my things. There are so many layers on this page, but it's, I mean, there's a little bit of difference in how flat it is, but to me, I love how many layers that are going on, and it still lays completely flat in my book. So I love this one, the Halloween one. Here's one that I think I did a time lapse. I filmed the time lapse of this. No, I didn't, I lie. I did a little tutorial on my Instagram. This is when I thought I was gonna be all cute and teach people how to do things. Basically, I had this printout of these, this Stellar Digistamp. I had them in the background, printed, and I put them down, and I used the Dylusions paint because they're kind of transparent and very you can layer them easily, and they keep all their rich, vibrant colors. So I glued it down flat with a glue stick, and then washed over all this paint, and then pulled back out the accents with some paint marker. And I essentially, like, I didn't make it up. I just thought it's like ghosting an image that I'd seen Diane Reevely do on her YouTube channel, or one of her YouTube videos. I don't even know if she ghosted an image or she was ghosting something, or that's where I got the word from. I literally don't know, but I know that Diane Reevely had a lot to do with why I came up with this. So yeah, I just thought this would be a cute little way to show people what I was doing. And I used that technique a few times more. I couldn't tell you where, but it's just fun because, you know, sometimes, like, while I can draw this, sometimes I don't want to draw it an extra 5 times, 6 times. So if I can print it out as, like, you know, I've drawn it originally, so it's still my art, but if I can print it out and then, you know, pull it out easier, I'm gonna do that because that's a shortcut that I just love to take. And everyone knows that I love to take shortcuts. Here's another one with a lot of Gran stuff in it. So Gran, actually, these were all separate pages, and I just cut them up and then pasted them on so that they looked like they were a squad. And yeah, she had colored in all of these ones differently. So I glued them down. She colored this one in 2, and I glued that down. And then I basically ghosted over the top with kind of the white Dylusions paint, because it's very transparent if you rub it on thin. So then it looked like there was this haze over them that kind of brought it all together, and then I would pick out the accents with some paint pen, my Pentel brush pen, just pulling out the eyes and details in the hair and adding, you know, bits and pieces over the top. But this was actually one that I didn't really rework a lot, so that's a lot of my Gran's original coloring, and yeah, I just love having those in there. She made it to Digistamp status, but this one never did. And I don't think she ever will. I don't like her. It's not that I don't like her, I just didn't think she wasn't gonna go in there. She's not in the collection. She only lives in here. Here are 2 unicorns vomiting stars. So that's disgusting, but really cute. I love the color palette in this. I used Dylusions paints and a little cosmetic sponge. I'd love to get the Tim Holtz mini blenders, but to be honest, I can't justify buying that, like, the amount that I'd need. So I just use little cosmetic sponges from the $2 shop and would just rub them over. I feel like essentially the same thing. They do get a little hard, and you have to wash them out, or you can just replace them. But they work for me. Some stenciling going on in here. I think at this point I'd come across Willowing on Instagram, and she's got a lot of these cute little hearts and stars and circles and like little detail accents that I thought were really, really cute. So this is when I started to add in a lot of that stuff. So I like that one. This is unfinished. Maybe forever. Alright, here we got 2 separate pages. I was doing prints for a while of some of the artworks that I was creating, and then sometimes I would take pages that I'd done and just print them out on kind of a semi-matte, glossy, like a satin photo paper. So it's got this really beautiful quality to it. And you could also use paint pens over the top, so it was great for me to use in my journals. So this was a Digistamp. She's still in the store. I think this was the original because I can see the working lines underneath it. So this was the original that I decided to color in and put them in here. And I just made up a little poem. I used to really love poetry or anything that rhymed, so I guess some of that comes out. But yeah, I just cut them up into circles and made them balloons, because if I don't do anything with them, they sit in plastic sheet dividers, or they just sit around my desk, and I feel kind of guilty that I wasted ink and time and, you know, money printing them. So I like to repurpose, you know, practically anything in my art journals. This is another page. This is a Digistamp that I did for Halloween. I thought it lended itself to being colored like Harley Quinn, even though I've never seen that movie and I'm not really a big comic book nerd, but you know, I enjoyed the art direction for that character, so I translated that into the Digistamp. It's got some really nice shading in here that I'd probably like to try again. Sometimes I like to look through my journals and see what I did and see what I liked, and bring that back for another period, and then I'll move on to something else. You can tell now, I mean, comparing this stuff to what I do now, I've given up on all the stamping, I've given up on all the stenciling, I've given up on doing full page spreads, you know, and it's not that I don't like it, it's just now I'm in a phase where I just like to be sketchy, I like to do it instinctively, I like to do it quick, and I think because I had a really massive desk at this point where everything was just laid out and I didn't have to pack it away, I had more freedom to create this way. Now I'm kind of like in and out, and I've got everything on a little Kia cart, like Kia trolley. It's a lot harder to set myself up and want to sit down for 6 or 7 hours during the day. And these books, they came at a time when I just had a car accident and I was recovering for 12 months. So I had a lot of time to sit down and do all this stuff, which was great for my creative process and for my creative journey. But yeah, now that things are a little busier and I'm stretched a little more thin, I don't create this way very often anymore. This is I would say it's finished. I mean, I don't feel like I want to add anything else to this. Sometimes I'll do little sketches or doodles and portraits, or whatever I do, just on little cards or little card-sized papers, because I don't know what I'm going to do with them. Maybe I'll make it into a card, maybe I'll just throw it in a book. So this time I just threw it in a journal. This is Patsy Stone, one of my favorite TV shows, absolutely fabulous. So yeah, I was watching Ab Fab when I drew this. This is very inspired. I do a lot of Patsy Stone. I don't know why. I feel like she's part spirit animal for me, even though I don't think I could ever get that out of control. But this one over here, this is a Digistamp. This is the Tina, the Tequila Tiki Tini, that Digistamp here. And I just found this. This was from a cat coloring in book, which I thought was hilarious. And I literally cut up every page of that coloring book and used it everywhere. But this was one of the jumpers that were in there, sweaters. And so I thought, this is what I'll do with that. Doesn't really make much sense. And then I found this really funny quote that I thought was hilarious for this page. Here I've just tried to make a pattern, a repeating pattern. I didn't have much success with it. It was kind of an abstract bird that I came up with, just using paint pens. And I think I was just really wanting to use my paint pens because they were quite new at this point and I wanted to get a feel for them. And I thought this would be a fun way to do it. And I'd just been out to the entrance where they do the pelican feeding, and they literally, I mean, everyone goes to the entrance to feed the pelicans, but there are signs everywhere saying don't feed the birds. Which I get because the pelicans, have this allotted time for feeding, but I kind of get upset that none of the other birds are allowed to be fed. So I sometimes just sneakily feed them anyway. So this was do not feed the birds. And this is another Digistamp. This is a part of the, what are they called? Daphne and Delphi. I use them all the time because they're just a very generic base for a face. They're a face base. So this was just a lot of doodling and Zentangling all over it. Put on some really cute glasses that are different sizes and some illegible scribbles around here. Probably awful things that I wanted to make sure that no one could read if they ever went through it. I will say, because I was going through that healing process for 12 months, there were a lot of times where I was just really annoyed, and my art journaling was kind of an escape for me, like I know it is for most people. And during that therapeutic healing process, I knew that it would take time. I knew that I just had to accept it, and I knew to be patient. But there were some times where I just got so angry that I didn't want to go and see a counselor about it because I knew already what I was in for. But I guess this was my way of venting, is just illegibly writing things in my art journal. I released it in here, and then I knew no one would really come to read it. And even though I'm showing it to you now, I'm sure you couldn't read what that says because I can't even really read it. But I do know that if there's something illegible in my journal, it's probably because I don't want it to be read. This is another unfinished spread, and I'm kind of stuck for what to do with it. it doesn't really tie together all the elements that I put down on the page. Even though I liked everything individually, I don't really know how to pull it together, so I might just leave it. I might scribble on it, I don't know. So I find that art journals are a really great place to keep all of that stuff. Even if you're scribbling on the back of an envelope, you know, on hold, on a phone conversation, that stuff too. I'm like, you know, I spent 30 minutes on hold making this masterpiece, so I'm gonna put it in my book. So yeah, that's what I love art journaling for. Sometimes it's just a scrapbook of, you know, junk that you've colored in or drawn. Here's another unfinished spread too. It started getting a little galaxy space themed, so everyone knows how I feel about space. I should just rip these pages out or just glue them together, because I'm not taking it to a space place. I hate space. Here's another fun spread. This was when I was attempting collage sheets with some of my old drawings, and it didn't turn out in a way that I liked, so I just left it. But I had the sheet, so I thought I'd do something with it. I used some homemade stamps here, the little seaweed stamps that I made. They've got little balloons with fish in them, and it just says, you know, we're having a party and you're not invited. So that's the attitude of these mermaids. And I love their tails. I just use paint marker over the top of them, and they're very like, what do you call that? I have no idea what you call that. It's kind of like an ugly Christmas sweater. Here's a Christmas spread that I absolutely love, and that's because there's washi all over it. Who wouldn't love that? They've all got washi tape eyebrows. The first year I opened my little craft business, I guess my arts and crafts, my Etsy store, I had Christmas cards that I'd created for sale. So these were the original drawings for that, and then I, you know, tricked them up on Photoshop because the colors weren't very vibrant. I was using cheap supplies at this point, like really, really cheap watercolor paper, and it just sucked up all of the pigment. But yeah, it turned out well once I worked my magic in Lightroom. But these are the originals, and I didn't want to throw them away because I enjoyed that. I liked how that all came out. I liked that it's a great memory from, you know, where I all started and what I was trying to do, what I thought would be good. But yeah, so there's just lots of Christmas washi tape that Steve bought me, and all of these things are just about washi. It says, I'm here for WA, Washiholics Anonymous. The first step is admitting you have a problem. So I am there, I'm on step 1. The Christmas list for 2016 was washi tape, washi tape, washi tape, washi tape, see above. This one is the thought that counts. I just hope the thought is washi tape. Walking through a washi wonderland. And I'm dreaming of a washi Christmas. So the obsession had really hit home at this point. Christmas last year is when that problem started, and my husband has enabled me because he keeps bringing washi tape home, and I'm never gonna say no. So it's okay. At least I put him to good use. I love washi tape eyebrows. I think they're fun. Here's a mermaid. This is just a lot of watercolor, I think, and some acrylic for the skin tones. This was just, I think I was just having a nice little play day with my journal this day. I tried to draw a seahorse from memory, so that's why this looks crazy. I don't do well with animals at all, and especially from memory. So I left it in there because it's true to me, you know, like I can't win them all. The quote says, 95% of the ocean is undiscovered. You can't tell me mermaids don't exist, which I believe is absolutely true. Here's a fun little interactive page. There's a lot of elements going on here. I mean, there's a little old prints. Well, this was a part of a Devil Wears Prada little print set that I did, and then I thought when I was making my book, I thought I was going to put the whole set in there and just show people that that's, you know, prints that I made, but they didn't end up making it into the book. So when I was making the book, I had a really small version of it as I was putting the pages together, so I could get a feeling for the flow and I could get a feeling for what was going to be in there. And when I was making those pages, I had to literally print out every single photo that was going in there so I could set it up and see the structure of it. So this is from one of those little pages where I was that I printed to make the mini book, to make the big book. That was a mouthful. Here, and this is another one from those little pages. This is the same from those little pages too. I have the, what are they called? The Doodle Squad digi-stamps here with washi hair. This is a tag that I was doing. I thought it'd be a fun idea if the mood changed if you flick down the tag. So she's happy and she's not very happy. Playing with pooling watercolor and inks. I really like to do that. These were some tags that had, you know, face options, I guess. I love her ears. They're very much the ears of my family. So I like the little interactive elements. This was another page from that mini book to make the big book. I did a mosaic, a paper mosaic, which I think is a fun project. I think I'm gonna film one day and show you guys. And my self-portrait that I did ages ago, I just gave myself a little pirate shirt and I was good to go. All right, I feel like that's been 15 pages. I know I didn't say I was gonna do just 15, but I think I'm gonna leave it there because I don't want the video to get too long and boring. But yeah, this journal will come back out and I'll show you some more pages from it another time. But for now, I hope you enjoy what you saw and let me know what you'd like to see next. All right, bye.